to change your story. You got to shift your story. You got to find a story that's going to empower you, a story that's going to strengthen you, a story that will push you beyond anything you've ever done in the past. So the story most people have, and that they had at this TED piece was, I said, why have you failed in the past? Didn't have the money, didn't have enough time, didn't have the right resources, didn't know the right people, didn't have the right contacts, didn't have the technology. Some people said we had a lousy leader. The leader said I had lousy people. Right? Isn't this stuff that people tell you? And then in the darkness, I heard this voice say, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. And I looked into the dark room down there in the front row, and it's Vice President Al Gore, who lost to George Bush. And the whole crowd, I was in Northern California, it was a Democratic crowd, so they all stood up and cheered like crazy. And when they're done cheering, I just stood there and I said, that's one way to explain why you didn't come president of the United States. You didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. But I might suggest there might be a different reason. And everybody was like quiet, well, what's he going to say? And I said, let's look at everybody else first. Those of you who told me you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't have the education, you didn't have the right people, didn't have the right skills, didn't have the right technology, you didn't have the right Supreme Court justices, or enough of them. I would submit to you, you've all told me the reason you failed is you didn't have the resources. Time is a resource. Money is a resource. Technology is a resource. Knowing the right people is a resource. And I said to the audience, here's my experience working with the most successful people on the face of the planet, athletes, presidents of the United States, multi-billionaires. Here's what I know from them. Resources are never the real problem. A lack of resourcefulness is the real problem. I'll say it again. Lacking the resources is not the problem. Lacking resourcefulness is the real problem. What I mean by that is very simple. The ultimate resource is human emotion. What starts wars? Is it logic? Hell no, it's emotion. What makes you get married or get divorced? It's emotion. What will make you stay up all night, work to build your business? Emotion. What will make you give up? Emotion. If you don't master your emotion, if you don't become resourceful, then you're going to think the problem is resources. Because I'm here to tell you, every great person I know didn't have the resources, but they got them because they're resourceful. And what that means is, if you're creative enough, creativity is an emotional resource, can you find an answer to the problem, yes or no? If you're determined enough, can you find the money that you don't have? Can you find it, yes or no? If you care enough and get other people to care with you, can you get them to help you, yes or no? If you are bold enough, if you're strong enough, if you're disciplined enough, can you get yourself to do things other people cannot find a way to do, yes or no? See, the ultimate resource is resourcefulness. And I tell you that, my friends, because I grew up with no resources, but I became very resourceful. And that's why I have the privilege to be with you today. And I said, sir, you, Mr. Vice President, I watched you speak last night, and the previous night he'd spoken to this Who's Who crowd, and he had spoken on the inconvenient truth. And it was the first time he did that speech that they made into a movie. And he was so passionate. And you never saw him passionate, but he was passionate. He grabbed everybody. People liked him, people didn't like him. I said, listen, let me tell you something. You said you didn't have enough Supreme Court justices? Here's the truth. I watched the debate with you and Bush. I wanted to vote for you, but I couldn't. There wasn't any energy. There was just ego there. I said, I watched those debates. I said, if the guy that was up here last night was the guy in those debates, you wouldn't need the Supreme Court justices. And the whole crowd went berserk. They started clapping, standing ovation, and he came over and gave me a little high five and said, you're right. And we became good friends out of it. And people came to me afterwards, the guys from Kleiner Perkins, multi-billionaires, they took me to dinner and they go, we've all been thinking that. No one would ever say that. How could you say that publicly? I said, because it's the truth. They go, yeah, but no one said it. And guess what? The truth is, I don't care where you are today. I don't care if you're totally broke, and getting here was a huge stretch for you. If you can find the hunger inside of you and you can remember, I don't need resources, I need resourcefulness, that'll get me the resources, then anything you dream about you can make real. But the minute you forget that, you come up with a story that goes, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I can't do it, it's too far away, that's what's going to kill you. Change your story, change your life. And we all have a story because we're afraid, all of us, to fail. We're afraid to not look good. We're afraid to be disappointed. We're afraid to get our hopes up. But the only way that you get courage means you're afraid, but you do it anyway. It's not courage if you're not scared. And so there's going to be people talking here the next few days, or today, they're going to give you some great strategies. Whether you do it or not is not going to be based on your ability. What you're capable of is amazing. What most people will do is disappointing. It has nothing to do with the content of what needs to be done. It's everything to do with the mastery of your own states. So here's what I believe. My passion is not just get up and talk. My passion is get people to rewire themselves. So how many of you came here not just for information? How many came here for some breakthroughs? A breakthrough means a new quality of life, where things that weren't possible are possible. Who's with me on this? Say ah. So let me give you 3 keys to a breakthrough. Any one of these 3 can give you a breakthrough, but if you do all 3 of these, you're going to have an extraordinary breakthrough. So let's start with something so simplistic that none of us would be emotionally attached to it, and we all know it's true. And let's take a symbol in society. All over the Western world, including Australia, you guys are a bit better than America, but not by a whole lot. What's happened to societies, Western societies, in terms of their health and fitness? Now, I don't know the current numbers here in Australia, but I'll tell you how bad it is in the U.S. I know you're slightly better than this. 1/3 of Americans are obese now. 1/3.
Wow.
Literally 60% of Americans are overweight. Now, I want to ask you a question. Is that because the strategies required to losing weight are so complex that it's just completely overwhelming? Is that why? Yes or no? No. However, if you have the wrong strategy, you're guaranteed failure, even if you're motivated and driven and excited. Is that fair to say? Like, I can remember a few years ago when on the cover of Time magazine was a diet called the Atkins diet. And it said, I don't remember the exact number, I think it was 13% of Americans, the largest number ever, were all on this diet. Now, if you knew anybody who was on the Atkins diet, of course you'd lose weight. First, the number of calories you chew came down, but second of all, you ate such an acidic diet that you literally had to pee on a stick so you wouldn't go into acidosis. And if you ever smelled the breath of someone on that diet, you wanted to stay as far away as you humanly could be. Now, that's not too hard to figure out, that if I got to pee in a stick so I don't go into acidosis, and my breath is this bad, this may not be a sustainable approach to losing weight. But everybody did it. So if you have the wrong strategy, it's not going to work. So let me give you 3 things in reverse order of importance, okay? Reverse order. Least important first. If you want a breakthrough, one of the things to give you a breakthrough is a strategy. A new strategy could change everything. Does that make sense?
Strategy.
If you come up with the right strategy, it could save you a decade. It could save you 5 years. And one reason to come to a seminar like this, in my opinion, is to gather up as many strategies as you can. And what I want to do in just this short little time I have with you is see if I can give you some strategies that'll give you breakthroughs in whatever you want to go after. Some real quick strategies that really work. What is a strategy? It's a specific way to do something that if you do it that way, you get the result every time. Think about strategy like a recipe. If you know someone's recipe, and they took 25 years to figure out how to make the perfect chocolate cake.
The recipe.
And you're not a baker, but you got their strategy, you got their recipe. How often can you get the same quality chocolate cake if you follow their recipe, if you follow their strategy? How often will it work? How many times? Every single time. That's the beauty of a strategy. So there's going to be a lot of strategies available to you here during this course. I'd be listening and find the strategies that appeal to you most. But I'd submit something to you, my friends. I'm a strategist. I'm a business and life strategist. I'm always finding a little thing that'll change it all. I'm obsessed by it. And I fill up my events with them. But I know something about strategies. You can give someone the perfect strategy, and they can still not do it. They can even know it's the right strategy and still not fall through. That's why the problem in our society is not a lack of strategies. If I said to you right now, okay, we gotta lose weight, and we're in downtown Brisbane, and we were to walk 10 blocks, how many places would we pass within 10 blocks that could help you to lose weight, for example, or get fit or get strong? How many? In fact, you don't even have to get up out of this building to learn how to lose weight. Because today, God forbid you're going to get up and walk, you can just pull out your iPhone or your iPad or whatever phone you have, and you can download 10 books right now that you'll never read, right? On how to do it. Maybe you'll start reading the first one, and then you'll get a little text. Oh, what's the text saying? You won't read the rest of the chapter. How many trainers are there in the Brisbane area that could get you fit and strong? Are there plenty, yes or no? So, is it a strategy problem, do you think? No. So don't get me wrong, I believe strategy is invaluable, but strategy without the next 2 is basically worthless in my experience. You know what to do, but you don't do what you know. But the right strategy versus the wrong strategy is critical. I want you to make a note of this, really important. You have to do the right thing at the right time. I'll give you an example of my country. Buying a house, right thing to do. you bought a house in the United States in 2007, right now you're upside down anywhere from 30 to 70%. 70. In places like Las Vegas, they're down 70%. I have a friend that had a $10 million home just sold for $3 million. That's why, my friends, I'm a student of seasons. That's why you have to understand, become so incredibly bright and aware as to what's really going on. So when someone tells you the strategy,
right thing at the right time.
Because they'll show you a strategy that worked. The question is it working now? You want someone who's done it and
strategy,
is doing it.
have your recipe.
People go all the time and they go see someone, let's say a really nice stockbroker who then tells them what to do with their finances, but you got more money than he does. That ought to be a clue he's not the person to talk to. People go to psychiatrists all the time that are taking antidepressants for their depression, and they wonder why they don't get better. I mean, we're weird this way. I'm telling you, if you're going to get a strategy, you better get somebody who's doing it. Someone's getting results. Now, strategy isn't critically important. Even though I beat up on it, is it still a huge advantage with the right strategy, yes or no? So what's the second thing? The second element, though, that affects whether you're going to use the strategy or not, is the story you tell yourself. Does that make sense? Because if your story is, I'm big boned, or I've tried what? I've tried what? Everything. If you tried everything, you'd have the answer. Right? But when people say I've tried everything, what does that do? It makes your brain go, see, I've tried everything. There's no reason to try anymore. It's not my fault. I'm just big boned. I just have low metabolism. Right? It's just, I've always been this way. And by the way, people's stories are often true, but they're not effective. It may be true that you have low metabolism. It may be true that you're big boned, but that's not why you're fat. It's because you're doing nothing to change your metabolism. Make sense? Or I don't have a relationship with a great man or great woman because all the good ones are gone. Or they're gay and I'm not, or I'm gay and they're not. Something of that nature. Right? Isn't that a common story people tell themselves? And what does the story do? It kills your hunger, it kills your drive, it gives you a reason not to face the discomfort. We've all lived in a society that has trained us since we're this tall now. Most of you, by the time you're 21, saw 2 million commercials that had to instantly get out of pain. Instantly out of pain. You know what the problem with getting out of pain is? It takes away the purpose of drive. How many of you know somebody who takes antidepressants right now and they're still depressed? That's because they have the same story. Even though they change their biochemistry, the same story brings them to that lousy place. If your story is, I don't have the resources, that story is going to kill your future. If your story is, I can get any resource I want, if I find a way to add enough what? Value to other people's lives, then you can get the resources. It's so amazing. I don't know, because in Australia you don't have a lot of places to go. I know there's a few. But how many of you in this room ski or snowboard? In skiing or snowboarding, if you take up the sport and you get on a really vicious hill, what they call a black diamond hill, there's edges where if you don't stop, you go to the edge and you'll die. And what happens is, when you're brand new and you're starting to skid out of control, most people slam themselves on the ground and try to hang on to the hill for dear life. And those are the people that will never master skiing or snowboarding. Because they let their fear of the edge push them down. The person that goes, I'm going to dig in. I'm going to work even harder. I'm going to carve. It's scary as hell, but I'm going to stay with it. They learn to carve. Those are the people that have skiing or snowboarding be something you love for the rest of their life. Your story is everything, my friends. And by the way, I'm not lecturing you. I'm sharing with you because I've learned by my own stupidity.